We have two very different situations coming into this last series, MMA and ForGG. MMA, a couple of weeks back, secured his spot at BlizzCon. He's definitely going, and at the end of the day, that was his overall goal. It didn't really matter about winning WCS, I'm sure that's an important goal for him, but it was about going to BlizzCon. On the other side of things, ForGG still has an outsider's chance to go to BlizzCon. He can still go there. MMA's had a very different year compared to most. He started 2014 incredibly well, played great, was getting good results in tournaments. In the middle of the year though, I don't know what happened, but he took a lot of it for granted, and he made a lot of mistakes and actually fell off the cusp of even going to BlizzCon. In the second half of the year, he turned that around and actually started to win tournaments and playing well again. It's difficult for me to know exactly what ForGG's thinking coming into this, because there's one side of things, he's heavily favored to beat MMA. He's got a great head-to-head record against him recently. It's his favorite matchup, Terran versus Terran. But on the other side of the things, being favored, does that make him nervous coming into this? Because he knows that MMA is going to be gunning for revenge against him. Historically, these two players have played against each other a lot in StarCraft 2. They've traded wins and losses in the Ace of Team Story Cup and a lot of other team cups that they've played in. But recently, it's ForGG who's got the much better side of MMA. He kicked him out of the WCS Season 2 Premier League in the round of 32. Kicked him out straight away. And MMA was not happy about that because that's what hurt his BlizzCon hopes in the first place. Second of all, DreamHack Stockholm happened a couple of weeks ago. ForGG again eliminated MMA from the tournament. Now they play again in front of everybody. Today, ForGG can be MMA's kryptonite once again.
So, welcome back to the World Championship Series Europe Premier League Grand Finals weekend. We've had three fantastic quarterfinals already, very different quarterfinals as well. And we're about to get into our fourth and final game of the evening, and boy, is it a cracker. TvT for the ages, MMA versus ForGG. You said, actually, in the video, they've played each other a lot. 20 maps between them. It's a lot of times they've played each other. 12-8, in fact, ahead for ForGG. As you can see on your screen, Yoda and Golden through to the semi-finals, and San now awaits the winner of ForGG and MMA. Just a quick word to reflect back on Bunny, because I don't think it's fair that we just move on without mentioning anything. Terrific fight. And I spoke to Muslim at the end of the game, and I said to him, he's easily the best Terran in Europe right now. And he said, that was Korean-level Terran play that he saw in that fourth map, the way the third map, sorry. So the way he split the army around, surrounded San, couldn't go north, couldn't go south, couldn't go east, couldn't go west. It was absolutely brilliant the way that he controlled the army. What were your thoughts on it?
Completely agree with what Muslim said there. The funny thing is Bunny isn't really competing to be the best European Terran. He's competing to be the #1 European in itself. I mean, he was devastated after that loss. I don't even want to imagine what he had to go through with that, but he is right now, I mean, he's up there with Snoot. He's tied with Snoot as the best European, best non-Korean player. And 2015, if he wants it, he can have it. He can be #1.
Yeah, definitely. He's shown a lot of fighting spirit in that game as well. There were a couple of moments where you thought he might just sneak through and keep his BlizzCon chances alive, but they've gone as well. Yet another player has fallen today. It's been a crazy roller coaster day of emotions for a lot of players. Some aren't even playing, and they've gone out of BlizzCon today. Innovation winning this morning, of course, knocking out a few. Now we've lost another player. Bunny's gone. It only leaves ForGG as the last remaining man out of the European scene that can overtake either Innovation or Jaedong. Innovation's sitting there in 15th right now going, well, thank God for that. Bunny's lost. All I need now is ForGG to lose.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, sorry, Innovation, if you are wondering and thinking that I'm watching this, he's not. I am so confident in ForGG coming into this. He's a god in Terran versus Terran. He understands it better than anyone else. It's always been his favorite matchup. It's always been his best matchup. Since the beginning of StarCraft 2, everyone said that this guy's the best Terran versus Terran, and he still is today.
When you look at his TvT record, all-time TvT record, 70.82% win rate, is absolutely absurd. Yeah, I mean, he's been #1 on Aligulac for the entire year in TvT.
Yeah, that's dominant stats, and that really shows that he is the best. The players he beats, he swipes aside easily. He doesn't really lose very often in this matchup, as the stats say. He is the TvT expert.
You and I spoke earlier on, and we said that actually this draw looks pretty goddamn sexy for him, because it could be a Terran all the way through. Now, that's changed a little bit because he now knows that he's going to play San, although San hates playing Terrans. He said that in his interview. He's like, oh, I know I've got another one to play now. So mentally, perhaps the edge is still there for ForGG. It still looks like a nice road.
He can still get to the finals. The hardest game is the one that he's playing now. Despite it being the easiest, it's also the hardest at the same time, if that kind of makes sense, because it's still MMA. MMA knows this is going to be difficult. MMA would have trained for this. He's lost to him a lot. He knows how he plays. As much as Terran versus Terran is excellent for ForGG, it won't be as clear-cut as just a simple stat.
I mean, let's talk about MMA. He's the last surviving player that has already won a WCS. So if he goes out, we actually have a brand new champion this season. Absolutely 100% sure. It depends kind of which version of MMA turns up again, doesn't it? I mean, we've said this so many times, it seems like every season we say the same thing. But he really is so polar when it comes to which version do we get the, you know, the cutthroat, killer, ruthless Terran that we know exists and has won a WCS tournament, won DreamHack Moscow recently, or do we get the timid, unsure, slightly nervous MMA that seems to be faffing around on the map a lot and not really doing much? I mean, which one are we going to get today?
Hot one, the hot Terran MMA. He was super hot when he won DreamHack Moscow because he needed it for BlizzCon. He then got coolered by ForGG in the next DreamHack that he lost in, and I'm sure that he's gunning for revenge here. It's not about BlizzCon anymore. He's already going. It's about being a champion here, and it's about making a statement to himself because he wants to win BlizzCon at the end of the day. You lose in the round of 8 WCS Europe, what kind of campaign is that to win BlizzCon?
Absolutely. As you said, MMA already at BlizzCon. We talked a lot about Road to BlizzCon. It's because it's been utterly exciting. You know, say what you want about the system, say what you want about the points and what have you, but actually it's produced a really thrilling end to the season this year. And ForGG is right at the sharp, you know, the pointy end of that. Is that pressure adding to the mix here for him?
I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say he was thinking about that too much right now.
Okay. The Matt Vito's on their way in right now. Nimbus is going to be the first one. What else do we expect here? Catalina, Deadwing,
Terran versus
Foxtrot.
Terran, I mean, could be anything that they just don't like playing.
Catalina's gone, okay. No major surprise really with those two. Does it matter in terms of momentum? We saw this morning in GSL. Map choice made quite a bit of a difference early on for Sue. Do you think either of these thrive on that same kind of momentum?
No, not so much. In mirror matchups, it usually comes down to preference because momentums usually swing in favor of races. Which race can do better on this map? But here, Terran versus Terran, it's all going to come down to what do you like playing? Do I want to save my best till late or use them early? And that's kind of the way they'll be picking here.
What sort of builds do you think we'll see from these two?
Aggression. Lots of aggression.
I actually looked at this and thought, this could be one of the most explosive TvTs we've seen in a long time.
Gas First is an aggressive opener, which is one of the most common openers right now to use in Terran versus Terran. But ForGG is a mech player. We're going to see mech from ForGG. Technically, MMA is a bio player, so we should see the clash of styles, but he's shown in the past against players like Innovation that he can play mech as well. So I'm not too sure what to expect from MMA, depending on his practice coming into this, but aggressive builds, ForGG is going to be aggressive from the get-go. He's going to look to finish it with his mech and Hellions. We're going to see a lot of Hellions.
Yes, I was going to ask
a lot of them.
Banshees?
Banshees and Hellions, the two most common units we'll see aside from SCVs.
Oh, what a shock that we can see those. Of all the things you've seen so far this weekend, what has surprised you the most? Has it been a result? Has it been a way a player played, way a player didn't play that you expected maybe?
Out of today, just MC dropping out 0-3. I really didn't expect that. He was my pick. He ruined my fantasy team. I really thought he was going to win that series, and to lose 3-0, I mean, if he'd lost 2-3 or something, I could be like, oh, okay, but that was definitely the biggest.
Yeah, it's big shock indeed. Right, the players are almost ready, so we should head over towards our commentary team. Don't forget, you can interact with us via all the usual social media channels. #WCS. We want to hear your predictions for the final game. If you got all 4 right this evening, I'm actually 3 for 3. They were all wrong. So, unfortunately, I went with ForGG in the last game. I'm sorry about that, ForGG. There's obviously some sort of quarterfinal curse going on. Hopefully there's not, though. And we get a cracking game. We're really looking forward to this one. It is a TvT for the ages. MMA versus ForGG with Kalaris and the Muslim.
All right, thanks very much. The final round of 8 series of the day to find out who moves on to our final 4. And it's going to be a TvT, one that we've already seen recently.
Yes, at DreamHack Stockholm, actually.
Yeah.
I got to sit behind them as they were playing, and it looked very one-sided. Very one-sided. ForGG is a kind of player that brings a whole different style of TvT to the table with his mass Hellion style. And initially you think, like, where's the firepower in that? Where's the survivability? But it has all of it. He just kind of bum rushes his opponent, and then the Hellions get in, and it's like against Marauders, you think the Marauder's going to do totally fine, but when Hellions are actually hitting 4 or so in a row every shot, the damage is unbelievable. So ForGG, yeah, he's got this whole different style that you can't really practice for him because nobody does it really.
Exactly, it's his own style, pretty much. He likes it as well, to the point where, oh, damn. All right, ForGG, all right, you're a killer, I get it. You're a killer, you're a heartbreaker. It's all good. He gets this matchup. That's the basic down the line to the T of it. He gets this matchup like nobody else really does. He brings his own flair to the matchup. When you said firepower before, where is it in the Hellions? Well, you know, he brings it in spades. It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, he seems to make it work. Like, whenever I try it, it just kind of flops, and I'm losing, like, Hellions here, there, and everywhere. Both these guys, such smiley, lovable characters, and they've both really blossomed while being in the European scene, I must say. Not necessarily in skill, but just in personality and character. Like, I've got to know both these guys so well, and they've really blended in well. They ask a lot of the Europeans for practice and such, and I know MMA before this series came up to me and was like, asked me for tips and stuff just to watch his replays. Whatever. I'm like, dude, I'm not the one that's top 8 here. You are. But yeah, I may have some predictions as to what might happen from MMA's side here.
Oh, really?
Yeah, yeah.
Should we get into the series before you unload your knowledge?
Let's get into the series first before any of that. Any knowledge bombs are dropped.
Well, in the end, I feel that MMA has to do something very, very big here to try and be a nemesis in TvT that he has in ForGG, a guy that is absolutely phenomenal in this matchup. Let's get on with it. Game number 1 in this final series. As we have spawning up to the top right-hand corner, it's our red Terran. Representing Team Millennium, it's ForGG. And down to the bottom left, it's our blue Terran representing Team Acer. It is MMA.
Now, another thing to think about. So MMA is safe for BlizzCon. He's ranked 13 WCS points, but there's no way that he can get knocked out. Whereas ForGG, he has to actually finish first in this tournament to have a chance.
Yes, he does.
And is that to have a chance, or is that to be definitely solid in? I think it's solid in, right?
It's one of the two.
I mean, and with his TvT, MMA is just one step there, but a best of 5 against MMA, like, on paper, MMA is a great player. Just came off a win at DreamHack Moscow. He actually did very well at Stockholm as well, where he lost to ForGG, who did even better, coming top 4, but whoa.
Well,
okay.
I mean, at the start, I felt that, you know, MMA had to bring something special to this series to beat ForGG. Is this something that you were predicting down the line? Or?
I did not speak to him one bit about this. Okay.
All right.
Okay, that could have been quite a blow to MMA at the start of the series, but this is a crazy old build by MMA here. This is a Marauder opening behind the mineral line, and what do you hope to achieve by this? Well, you get out a few Marauders. Marines find them very hard to deal with. You hit and run. They outrange Marines by 1, meaning they'll easily get a shot off before the Marine can, but also they get to run away.
Yeah.
Have way more armor, or way more health. They have an armor, so Marines only deal 5 damage per hit, but I'm not sure if he banked on ForGG scouting this early, because upon seeing no barracks, this only means one thing, and for ForGG, what's the reaction? Well, build a bunker at the top of your ramp, but he's got a barracks in the way.
Yeah, dealing with this can be a bit hectic, as Marine was already heading out there to find the SCV and pushed that away, and now he's brought 2 down. Oh, wait, whoa, he's building a bunker in the wrong place. Does he not know? He doesn't know it's right behind the mineral line.
Okay, so this could actually work out very well for MMA, but...
Oh, dear.
Is he... Okay, the question for MMA is he going to wait for Marauders?
Oh my. Oh, my.
Okay, so...
That was too close for
MMA, does he reveal one Marauder that achieves nothing?
Oh, now he does.
He does that, and now, look, he knows what he's up against. And he's going to crawl out, he's going to go... This is really bad for MMA. He's now away from his barracks, so his Marauders are all going to be split up, and they're going to be divided by this bunker.
Yeah.
So this push is, like, we thought this bunker was a bad idea, but MMA's totally played into the hands
Yeah, it's okay.
of ForGG.
It's okay. I mean, this bunker is going to separate very nicely. That one Marauder's going to have a very hard time of actually getting past. The second Marauder on the other side, though. Does he even get a Marine? Oh, yes, it does.
Wow, okay. So this is okay. I mean, what's he going to try and do here? He has to try and group his Marauders up. So he's going to try and force them out of the bunker. Are they going to come out of the bunker as this Marine spawns and take out the Marauder? Oh, no, okay.
He's running back. He has the factory at the back here, so I assume he's waiting for some units there, right?
Oh, look at this, though. MMA's trying to be as sneaky as possible with this Marauder on the low ground, but it's kind of like a game of chess here. ForGG knows exactly what MMA is going for here. He wants him to unload that bunker, but... Oh, nice move by ForGG. He is going to pick off that Marauder. Only one Marine died.
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. One Marine also dying on the high ground.
Ooh.
Oh, he actually retreated out of the bunker.
Look at this focus fire as well. Moving back the low health Marauder as well. If he can, oh, great pickoff. Did you see he went for the furthest away SCV, but it was the one that had the lowest health, so he got it.
Yeah.
Now he's actually dealing real damage, but that is a Widowmine. Bam! Ooh. The high health Marauder does go down.
All right, nice pick up there to kill off one, but there's still a little bit of a threat as now he knows that that Widowmine doesn't have a charge, so he can just go back up here for a little period of time. He's already killed off a few workers, and at home he's also doing well. Is he actually going to get a supply depot? Wow. This has done more than I ever expected it to, considering the circumstance.
Yeah, and look at this micro by MMA, constantly focusing units, not just attack moving, he's focusing them. So dealing a lot of damage with this, but has this dealt as much damage as he needed? Is he going to get a shot? Bam. Okay, great, perfect micro by MMA. Now, what's this? Is he going to keep... Okay, so if we look at the production tab, he's still making Marauders. He's actually teched up to a starport in his main base, and he's making a Viking against a Banshee that he has no idea that's coming, but this is working out so well for MMA. Like, he really studied his opponent here.
Just anticipating every single move that ForGG is throwing out, and technically, I thought to myself, well, if he's committing this little bit of gas to the Marauders, it will slow him down a little bit back at home, and so his starport wasn't as quick, but because he's going on the defensive posture back at home, he should be okay against this.
It definitely should, and, you know, we're going to have a second base finished up for MMA. And there isn't one in sight for ForGG. If we look at the Harvest tab, 25 to 19. He is in great shape here. He's even using this barracks to get high vision, making a bunker on the low ground. Okay, so like how we... Oh, no, did he forget about the Widowmine there?
Yes, he did.
That's a big mistake.
Yeah.
Big mistake.
Losing a Marauder there, it's going to make sure that this is going to be a little bit harder to really deal with. Those Marines with the Hellions as well are going to push this away. No contain for you, MMA, at the bottom of this ramp. And that gives ForGG a little more wiggle room here.
Now, MMA has no idea about the follow-up, but he knows that, hey, he's had a factory for quite a while now, because that Widowmine's had 2 chances to shoot, which is 40 seconds between them. He also whipped out 2 Hellions, which came out at the same time, which probably means he had a reactor. Now he's seen the Banshee in the middle of the map, caught it with a Viking, so... Oh, this is looking pretty good for MMA. He's already got turrets being made, he's making constant Hellions. It looks like he wants to bring mech to ForGG here with having like a pretty substantial lead in the early game. This is great play by MMA.
Well, 2 Banshees now moving through the middle here with these Hellions on the right-hand side as well. The Vikings going to have to do quite a bit of work because the Banshees, if they get through there, but going to dart out. He actually gets caught in a really, really odd spot there.
Oh, loses a Banshee immediately without even cloaking it. Does he actually have cloak here?
Oh, he didn't get cloak in the end.
It.
Yeah, he cancelled it.
Oh my... Okay, so, oh wow, this is great play by MMA here.
This is a really, really wacky game to start things off, but at the same time, MMA has a significant supply lead. I mean, how many workers does he have?
Okay, there's a barracks next to the command center building Marines to assist with this push.
MMA,
is that what was happening? GG.
Wow. All right, MMA had to bring something a little bit unconventional to the table. He does it and gets a high five from his manager.
From Inu himself, and now sharing strats. You know, when I'm in ForGG shoes and I see this happening, that my opponent is speaking with somebody that's outside the game, I get mad.
Yeah?
I've definitely played against, like, I remember at an MLG, I played against Suppy, and after a game, Sasquatch comes along and starts talking with Suppy, and I'm like, man, this should not be allowed, this is terrible. But, you know, it's not as if they're cheating or anything, but, yeah, just keeping him calm, keeping him... Yeah, keeping his feelings in gear, because he's been losing against ForGG quite a lot in the past.
Yes, he has.
He's been very worried about him. So, yeah, totally understand why he's trying to keep his cool there.
Yeah, definitely. This is one step closer for MMA to eventually conquer ForGG, which has been such a difficult thing, such a difficult task for him in the past. And ForGG rarely loses TvT series. I mean, all he's lost to is actually Yoda, MVP, and fully enough, MMA. But all of this was, well, most of it was back during 2013 WCS system. So he very rarely loses against Terrans, in terms of series, that is. So MMA takes that first step.
And I mean, those players that you just listed, they're no slouches in TvT. In MMA, he comes from a Slayer's background, where it was a true Terran team. And he moved over. He's always had very good TvT himself, but ForGG just had a very different style. But the way that MMA's entered this series with a proxy Marauder, like, I don't actually know what that build is good against anymore, but he made it work and made it work amazingly. So he's obviously seen some holes in ForGG's play, and ForGG's looking a little bit flustered there.
Yeah. MMA was talking some smack on, I think it was Instagram just before, saying
on
that,
Instagram?
Yes, he posted a little video.
Talk smack these days.
I know, that's where you go to. He said, ForGG, you're going to have to type 3 GGs during this series. I thought that was pretty good. I was impressed.
Oh, MMA.
Yeah, that was nice.
You sly dog, you.
Well, he's got one of them. He's got one of them so far. Whether he can get 2 more or not is debatable, because ForGG is likely to cover all of his bases now, really kind of dot all those I's, cross all those T's, and get to the comfort zone that he is used to, that big mass Hellion style, with the Banshees mixed in later on, and then transitioning on from there against opponents, well, or even not. Sometimes he just likes to go for the kill from there.
I really have to talk about that bunker placement, though. Like, so he obviously assumed that the barracks was not behind his natural. He assumed that it was probably closer to the 3rd of his.
Yeah.
But he knew it was Marauders. Having a bunker against Reapers, especially in that position, you just hop up into the main base. So he knew it wasn't that. He knew what he was up against, but he had no idea about the location of that barracks. So one idea that would have been better for him is placing your bunker just at the bottom of your ramp. And I mean at your main ramp. So you actually get to defend against, or you get to defend your depots, get to defend your barracks, have constant production. And if you've got a barrack or a bunker on the low ground, even with 2 or 3 Marines in it, you need roughly like 4 or 5 Marauders to deal with that bunker, especially even if it's not being repaired. So that would have been a nice quick fix. But MMA, yeah, just totally took advantage of ForGG being unprepared for that build.
All right, then. Well, game number 2 now, as MMA currently takes that 1-0 lead pretty rapidly in this best of 5, as we have. Spawning down to the bottom right-hand corner, currently 1 game down in our round of 8 series. Representing Team Millennium, it is ForGG. And up to the top left, bringing us quite the surprise in game number 1, looking to continue that momentum onwards, representing Team Acer, it is MMA.
MMA always has these cool hairstyles and such. I remember when he first came on the scene, had like half his head shaved, like his blue Slayer's jacket, came to MLG and just owned it. In fact, that's when he played against Idra, and he just did like the Street Fighter like Powerball thing. It was very, very cool, but he did that after he beat Idra, and I remember Greg being ever so mad. But yeah, MMA actually has been my favorite player ever since that moment.
Was that haircut that they had, wasn't it to like prevent their hair from getting messed up by like headphones or something weird?
I don't know, because he had hair on the other side.
Did he? Oh, okay, never mind, different one. I'm thinking of like the Revival haircut then.
Oh, that one. Yeah, those. You know, he had that haircut and he had a tank top. Like, I think he was just a baller. But okay, talking about this map, so MMA has opened up gas first, and ForGG's actually gasless right now, which probably means he's going for a 15 gas. So we're going to see 2 very opposite builds take place here. ForGG is going to go for a very defensive build. So yes, it is the 15 gas. Why is it defensive? Well, you get 2 Marines, then you get your reactor out, and you get your CC up. So you get a very, very early CC. You also get out pretty decent Marine production, and you can get a Viking up in time just to defend against that Cloak Banshee. Some of the things that you have to worry about is, where am I going to put my turrets? How many turrets? And things like that. So why is MMA doing a build like Cloak Banshee? Well, on this map, there are so many ways that you can get into the Terran base. as in you can get into it from the left or right side. You can also skirt around the main mineral patch, given that there's that large air space behind it. And you can leave the base from any direction, which makes it a great map to abuse air on. So I totally understand both of these builds, and we're going to see how well they both execute them.
Yeah, and with ForGG scouting out pretty much everything that's going on in his opponent's base, you know, he's seen the timing of the factory, etc., and things like that. Is there opportunity really for MMA to do too much damage as long as ForGG is playing to the T? Or?
I mean, even if you are ForGG and you know exactly what your opponent's doing. So here, he's not expanding in his base because he knows that, hey, there's not going to be anything to kill me until roughly like the 7-minute mark, or even like 6-minute 30. So he's being confident, he's done the right move here. He's thrown his Expo down at the natural, and here, did he actually get to see? In fact, no, he didn't get to see the tech lab, and he hasn't seen a second gas, so he could still assume that, hey, this guy's actually going to go like Hellion drop, or 3 Hellions and like 7 Marines with a medevac. But we know otherwise, and ForGG has to prepare for both kind of things, so we may see a scan coming down just to confirm what is actually happening, maybe around the 6-minute mark. But here, MMA's still in the dark. He hasn't scanned his opponent, so he could assume, like, hey, he has to constantly think, what is my opponent doing? But even if ForGG defends absolutely perfectly against the Banshee, what is the follow-up of your opponent? Could he have tanks at behind the rocks shelling your Expo? Like, oh, and look, he goes Raven.
Yeah, this is what I was going to ask. With him going Raven now, because he is a little bit in the dark, as you mentioned before, he hasn't really got too much scouting information about his opponent. Does ForGG, is he in a more advantageous position here? Obviously, he had the information. He was anticipating something a bit more aggressive, one would think. But with the Raven coming out, how does ForGG fare?
In fact, did he actually get to see that there was an Expo there? No, he didn't. But that's also big. So MMA is really in the dark. He's seen 6 Marines.
Okay.
But how does ForGG fare? Well, he's had to put up the engineering bay, and he's putting up a single turret right now. Now a 3rd turret. If we think about the position of that turret, if a Banshee came in on the top side of the main, it can definitely kill a lot of SCVs there. So, you know, you really have to think about this. There's a lot of minerals going into this. This is 300 minerals for those 3 turrets.
Yeah.
The 125 minerals for the engineering bay, and all the building time for each one of those SCVs that has been doing that. That is 4 SCVs.
It's a lot of minerals, man.
And 4 SCVs inactive for 30 seconds each, building buildings that are probably never going to come into effect. So despite having this earlier Expo, this is okay for MMA.
Oh, poked up there with a Hellion, saw the Marines. I wonder if he saw the Raven.
He totally denied that Raven. And look at MMA. So he's making a medevac with this. He's going to go for a second medevac, and he's going to go for a drop here.
Ooh, okay.
This is a very new build that's come into play, and it's exceptionally good against Hellion builds. And the reason being, the auto turrets, 150 health.
Yeah.
Hellions do 0 damage to them.
Yeah, and auto turrets, if I remember correctly, prioritized by ground if you're not actually focus firing. So,
really?
Yeah, it's a bit weird how they work out, but they do claim priority from units when they're, if you're just like attack moving, as it were. So it really depends on the focus fire. But for now, ForGG is still moving out with 2 Hellions. He's having a look around, seeing what he can find, and he's going to find something at the top of this ramp. Loses 1 Hellion instantaneously.
So we know, like, ForGG knows there's something at his, or coming to him, and that's a pretty large army.
Yeah.
If we think about ForGG, he went for the earlier X, and like you think of the greedier defensive play, but they're both, in fact, MMA's got a better army now. SCV-wise, it's 30 to 32. He's not far behind, and he's going for a drop. Whoa. Okay, if that Banshee died, whoa, that would have been terrible. But yeah, he's going for a drop in the main.
ForGG had Cloak on the way as well, and it's a little bit of a delayed timing compared to usual, so I'm wondering how well that's going to work out. For now, though, this drop is already on the way in. Here come the auto turrets. They're in a placement that's really going to start protecting those siege tanks, and this could be pretty hard to break here for ForGG.
Yeah, ForGG... He's a mech player. He's a Hellion player. MMA is taking total advantage and denied mining on that 3rd. How are you going to break past that 450 health wall of auto turrets that also deal damage? He's evacuating his main.
Oh my, MMA has claimed a piece of land in his opponent's main that is really shutting down a lot of what's going on in there. Now, he's trying with this Banshee as much as possible to kind of make up ground in essence, because behind all of this, ForGG is supply blocks. Getting a siege tank would be a nice start to all of this. Does get it, but that Banshee is going to die.
The Banshee's going to die, the Viking's going to land, and how do you kill a Viking with Hellions? Well, not that way, you're not. The tech lab, like, ForGG's base is totally under fire here. And I mean, he's going to deal damage here, but is it going to be enough?
Really wants to save that Banshee and keeps it alive as another Viking enters the fray, but that will end up falling again. And it's only Hellions to try and bust down everything at the front here, and then back at the outpost. There you go. Wow. MMA 2-0 up in this TvT, and I'm not kidding you out there. If you are unfamiliar with the idea of how good ForGG is in this matchup, usually he doesn't miss a beat. Usually he is the guy that everyone looks to as well. It's a Terran versus Terran, he's just going through. A lot of people looked at this bracket and were like, if ForGG gets Terran versus Terran the whole way, he could probably win the entire tournament. But now, MMA is one game away from eliminating him 3-0.
Yeah, and you know, the way that this series is going, it's looking pretty darn likely. Like these two players have been up in that practice room the whole day.
Yeah.
And they were the last two standing in that room, sat opposite one another basically in the room, practicing the whole time, both probably studying one another. And now it's coming down to ForGG in his best matchup in a tournament that really looked ripe for the taking for him, you know, like 5 Terrans in an 8-man field. This looked very good, very doable for ForGG, but now MMA's really got him on the brink, and MMA obviously did his homework.
I mean, as a caster, I'm actually, normally when you cast series and you're just saying, wow, that was a real upset, you know, but right now I'm in a little bit of shock at how MMA has already brought himself to this series. I was backing ForGG. Everyone was backing ForGG. It's his matchup. And MMA has just said, well, don't you worry, guys. I've got some stuff up my sleeves. And wow, the auto turret placement, the pickup, everything about that play from MMA was beautiful.
And if you think back to MMA was the guy that didn't scout with an SUV, had no idea what was going on, but he knew what his opponent would think upon seeing his build, and knew exactly how he'd react and how he'd spend his minerals. And, you know, it's like these chess players when you have to think 20 moves ahead. MMA is doing exactly that, and knows that ForGG is a smart player, knows how you should react to what he's seeing, and MMA took total advantage of it. And unfortunately for ForGG, MMA is just playing on a different level right now.
He is. All right, let's get into it. Game number 3. This could be the last game of this man's tournament if he doesn't do something about it right here, right now. Representing Team Millennium, it is ForGG. And down to the south, we have our blue Terran representing Team Acer. It is MMA.
Fantastic, cool play by MMA. I mean, whipping out a cheese in the first game of the series to set the pace of things, and then pretending you're doing a very aggressive build, but you do an aggressive build, but a totally different one to what your opponent was thinking. Like, TvT has got to a point in time where it's by far the most versatile matchup. There are literally 7 or so build orders that you can do that will all get you from point A to point B, but in totally different ways. And we're seeing MMA just take total advantage of, in fact, what build are they both going for? Okay, it looks like they're both going to be playing for the defensive build, which is 15 gas.
Yeah.
In fact, a 14 gas by MMA, so that's a very irregular timing for it, and we could be seeing a brand new build by him.
But overall, it's a little bit of a surprise that we're not seeing any gas firsts. I mean, gas first has become a very big go-to, but playing the more defensive style here from ForGG after being put in the position that he's in, I don't blame the guy. I don't blame him at all, because he's scared right now. I'm pretty sure.
I mean, we saw how badly he got taken advantage of doing this build prior. And MMA's build's very weird. Like, look at this. He's at 17 supply. He got out an extra SCV there. I'm not sure if he's done this before.
Give us a stab. Give us a stab, Muslim. Can you think of anything in particular? Mr. Funker's highlighting an add-on, but
I'm guessing he's going to go. Well, I think he's going to go for a reactor after this.
Yeah.
Although, if I was MMA and I knew how well that Raven did beforehand, and I know that my opponent is always a mech player, I'd go for the Raven again. In fact, wow, is he just going to... Okay. This is a weird build by MMA, given that he hasn't gone for a reactor, he went for a 14 gas, and now he's going for a factory. So if you think back to Wings of Liberty time, one of the most standard builds that Terrans did was 12 racks, 13 gas, because you could have constant SCV production. That's been changed into things like 12 gas to get your Reaper out, 15 gas to have like a reactor and then a CC, but MMA is doing something that I haven't really seen before, getting a very early second gas. I can only think that this is going to be an early CC and a Raven.
Well, we'll find out in just a little bit. He's already prepared his Marines to be able to greet any kind of Reaper that will come along. But on the other side of things, ForGG, he's happy. He's just working away with his own command center, trying to get that well-oiled machine moving.
This is very ballsy by ForGG. Having an Expo on the low ground, if you are against anything like Reapers, you're going to be in trouble. But he's done it anyway, and he is going to get away with it. So it's good for ForGG. In his head, he's gone for the very, very standard defensive build. So he's going to work up, get out roughly 6 Marines, work on Hellion production, get out Vikings or a Medivac or a Banshee. Well, it can totally deviate his build. So here, we do actually have that command center from MMA. So this looks like it is going to be leading to a Raven and 3 very quick CCs by MMA, which I haven't really seen this. Oh, whoa. A Widowmine? Okay, I think it still is going to be a Raven kind of build, but
okay.
Very, very defensive and very, very macro-orientated by MMA here.
Well, let's see what he wants to get out. Raven does seem likely, considering that there was so much gas bank up, and there we go. And aside from that, ForGG, what are you up to? Because right now, he really needs to step up somehow, some way. We know he can in TvT, obviously. We know he can bring a lot of power, even through to the mid-game. And one Hellion was already moving out. Meanwhile, that actually bypassed this SCV, which will get shut down. So not too much information just yet for MMA.
And those Marines lined up like that, it could be several things right now. He could still be doing like a Hellion drop after it. So MMA has to be careful with his Marines. But here we have that 3rd CC. So it is that very macro-orientated build with a Raven and blows up a Hellion right there. So it doesn't get much better for ForGG right now. But yeah, we have that Raven, the Marines in the main base. But now he knows, okay, my opponent, did he see 2 Hellions at the front door there, or was it just 1?
It was just 1. The second one's here now because it was scouting out a different location.
Okay. Now he knows that his opponent went for that reactor and got out 2 Hellions, then used both of them to scout in different places.
Oh, wow.
Okay, he ran in.
He's just seen everything. Okay,
I feel like you need that funny music, like but like a Hellion just ran in, he sees everything that's going on. He even lands an auto turret, so you know he didn't save the energy. This is a bit of a blunder by MMA, but you know he was expecting quite possibly a drop in the main, but just using 3 Marines, he could have blocked the top of that ramp. But yeah, that's nice for ForGG. Now, what's ForGG's reaction going to be? Well, he's getting out his Raven, his 2nd factory. And we'll probably see a 3rd CC by him sometime pretty soon.
Well, the Raven using that energy, I mean, once a fight will come along, it might not have energy for a point defense drone, right? So if he actually got a Raven over there himself as well, because he was building one, where was it?
This is really sad for ForGG. So he was expecting to find that Widowmine at the ramp, so he actually scanned. There was no Widowmine there, and he had to back off.
Oh, sad.
So he used to scan for nothing, really, apart from to see a tank and not to take an extra hit on his Hellions. And upon doing that, he's getting his base up, or 3rd base even. He's got a lot of Hellions out, so he's not likely to die anytime soon, but what does this scan see? 2 factories, so he knows exactly what ForGG is doing. This is a game where they both know exactly what the other one's doing, but I think I might know. MMA is going to play really crazy this game. It's going to have a 2nd starport and everything.
What? Wait, so you get like a lot...
Vikings and Banshees.
Yeah, that
He's going to have Vikings, Banshees, and tanks. Like, he's probably going to stop production at 3 tanks.
Because he's anticipating a ton of Hellions, right?
Yeah.
A ton of Hellions.
I wouldn't be surprised right now if we see that factory switch and we see a 2nd starport come down sometime soon.
That would be neat.
I could be totally wrong.
Well, you can stab in the dark, man.
I want to sound like an oracle here, but yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
That would be very cool. That would be very, very cool. Obviously, Hellions can't shoot up, and then if you've got a good Viking count anyway, that would be nice. But look at this. Plenty and plenty of mech on the way. We already saw something, well, very, very similar to this when he was playing him in DreamHack, when he was just kind of smashing his way through constantly with the mass Hellion style, backed up with a few siege tanks. But if you can claim air dominance over an army like that, then you could be in good stead.
I'm just looking at this Widowmine. These Widowmines that MMA just puts down, like, they've always been useful, and they always seem to do very well. We have a Raven coming over, though. It's going to have a sacrificial Marine come and take the hit, and that Widowmine is now off the field, so he never has to worry about it again. Yeah, fortunately for him. But MMA, look at the production tab. He's making Vikings, so he's already getting ready for that air composition.
There's that 2nd starport you were mentioning.
Bam!
Hidden behind the mineral line at the natural.
I really like this play by MMA because, you know, he's not he's not just playing StarCraft, he's really playing his opponent here.
Yes.
Knows exactly what he's doing, and he knows that my opponent likes to make a ton of Hellions. If I make sure that I get my third up safely, my opponent can't really bust through these tanks, at least not cost efficiently. And I'm going to get an air army together that he's not going to have a Thor out with it. That medevac was flying like a crazy dude, but flying sideways there. But yeah, your opponent. Oh, look at this.
But this is it. Right now, it looks like it's just there for drops. Kills that one off and can technically land and just kill this as well. But that just looked like to deal with the medevac drop. I mean, 6. Oh, here we go.
Oh gosh. He's on a pilgrimage right there.
Run away.
In fact, is he going to get quite a few kills? Oh, that one Viking. Oh,
come on.
This is the slowest race of all time.
It's like Transformers. Yeah. All right.
It is just like Transformers. They do both transform. Anyhow, so what's going on here? ForGG's got a single armory. He's making 5 Hellions, 2 tanks at a time, getting a single attack upgrade. MMA, kind of supply block, but, you know, fixing that very soon.
Needs those Banshees out if he wants this kind of plan to come to fruition, right?
He is getting a Banshee out. So,
oh, he's just tired. Okay.
You know, your opponent here, like ForGG, there is, you know he's going to attack you. You know that attack's going to come, and it's going to have more Hellions than you can ever deal with. So here, MMA is getting ready to say, okay, if I actually hold that off and I can bring it to a macro game, I think I can beat you in the macro game. Because what's ForGG realistically going to do against a guy that has more Vikings than him and air control, and you have no units capable of shooting up, and he's expanding like a madman behind this. This is great play, and a fusion core. This is. Have you seen a TvT like this before, Claris?
Not quite. Not this early, at least, in terms of going for battle cruisers. Wow. So he's claiming this position so fast, using those siege tanks to transition him onto this position, I guess, at the very front, because he knew his opponent Hellion count couldn't be that high.
And a second or third starport even being made here, and he's moving out across the map.
This is cool. This is cool. And ForGG, though, is nearing max. Ooh. So he might actually go, because that's a big army. He's going to try and get right on top of this. And that Banshee, that one Banshee in the sky, has a lot of work to do. There's point defense drones to try and bring down the Vikings, but still, he doesn't have the firepower. And ForGG just plows through. The sledgehammer style that he uses in this matchup is terrifying.
It truly is, and there's nothing. MMA doesn't really have anything. Why did MMA move out there? He knew this attack was inevitably going to come, but...
I'm not sure. I guess he underestimated the power of the macro here from ForGG as he's looking to move on to his natural. Has to raise the depots, and he sees the fusion core behind this and has to be like, what is going on? I guess I'm just going to try and kill you right here, right now, because if he can bust through there, there's not that many units.
I tell you what, though, MMA's kind of holding this. Landing the Vikings on the tanks.
Trying, and needs to pick them back up. That's too much firepower. The Hellion's going to run on through. And with all the Hellions gone, if he can get rid of them all, if he can hold on somehow, then maybe there's an opportunity here. But they're doing so much damage. He's killed almost 40 workers have gone down so far here for ForGG.
And those Hellions have been left alive. And he just dropped 4 fresh mules right in front of them. 2 down instantly. 3rd one down. Oh, I feel like everything was lined up so perfectly for MMA, and he just kind of threw it away.
Well,
I really do.
ForGG, once he gets to this composition, once he gets to this pace in a TvT, very difficult to deal with him. Mixing in a ton of Thors as well now, knowing that, hey, he had quite a lot of starports back there. Maybe I should actually build some anti-air at this point. Yeah,
and the BCs are starting to be made, but MMA's at 88 supply now against the 153 of ForGG. Like, great time for ForGG attack, and a total anti-timing for MMA to move out there. Like, he had a pretty decent squad of tanks, 4 tanks with the squad of bio, just ran headfirst into 30-ish Hellions and just lost everything.
It was a bold and ambitious plan, MMA, but I think in the end, you're going to get fried. The Hellions just have no mercy. GG.
Wow. I spent the whole time hyping up MMA. And it was ForGG just came out with the push that he always does.
Exactly.
Just absolutely walked over MMA that game.
Okay, so in theory, to Muslim, what we saw there from MMA could work.
Oh, it was, he blind countered him entirely. I mean, if ForGG ran into 5 siege tanks and a lot of bio, sure, you might be able to take it on, but you're going to lose the air fight immediately. You're going to take way more damage on all your Hellions than he did. And that army doesn't really get past the 3rd base. And MMA would be in great shape. He'd then be transitioning to BCs, which do Thors deal with BCs very well? No.
No.
And the amount of bio that he'd be able to like produce, and with those 4 starports, he could totally transition into drop style, just dropping absolutely everywhere. Since against ForGG, or rather, ForGG playing against you, he doesn't really have to worry about making turrets, so he just doesn't. So after you stop that push, after you really thwart that push, you can start dropping him like a madman and just expand like a madman. So yeah, I mean, the plan was there for MMA, just a mental blip, some thought in his head, some devil on his shoulder told him to push out at that moment, which was exactly not the moment you want to push out at. Because he had all the means to deal with it, just didn't do it. And ForGG, upon seeing that kind of crazy build from him, has to be kind of worried here.
Yeah, just anticipating, because there's no way MMA hasn't come into this very, very heavily prepared. We've already seen it from game 1 to game 2 to game 3 now, him bringing out a build that isn't very common. So ForGG, yes, he claws his way back. He gets himself 1 map in this best of 5, but he's still got 2 games to bring back here. And this gives MMA a little bit of time, a little bit of an opportunity to once again stab wildly at ForGG and take 1 more game and advance on. And I think he could. After seeing what we saw from game 1 to game 2 to game 3, you know, he has to have still the mentality to be able to make it.
Certainly. I mean, they're both well in this. This is 3 games into the series. ForGG is the one with his life on the line here. So can he whip out something totally crazy? I mean, he could to keep himself in it, but it'd be risky. What if it failed? He'd look like an idiot.
Yeah.
But to counter that, he could also look like an absolute genius, but that is not ForGG style. ForGG style is, look, I play this game solid. I have a great army composition that no one else seems to do for whatever reason, because...
All make work.
All make work, but, you know, I make it look freaking easy.
Yeah,
and MMA here, he can't be too displeased either. Like, he went for something, didn't work out. Now he's on a huge map, and he knows that push is going to come. That means he has more time to prepare for it. And, yeah, we've got a game on our hands now.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. It's a hop, skip, and a jump on a map like Merry-Go-Round from your opponent's base to yours, compared to a map like Deadwing. Game number 4, as we have. Spawning up to the top left-hand corner, 1 game away from the round of 4, a previous WCS champion. It is MMA. And to the bottom right-hand corner, we have our red Terran, bringing it back 1 game. Can he do more? Representing Millennium, it is ForGG.
So we have Deadwing, and we have opposite spawns. You can also spawn vertically on this map. So between these 2 Terrans, this is a map that can really, really go all the way. The whole macro game, the whole 9 yards. And based on builds, we can see a lot of different builds. There isn't one build to rule them all. You can have Reapers that can get into the side of the base. They can also scout the front. And given that it is a huge map, that may be one of the best options to safely scout your opponent, because an SCV scouting takes a very long time. And by the time you get to your opponent's base anyway, what do you see? You could see a Reaper that's going to scout you and you lost an SCV. Or you could see some Marines, or, I mean, you can see stuff, but it's a long, long trek for an SCV to take in which you're losing minerals. So what do we see here? We have a gas first for MMA, and it looks like we're going to see a 15 gas for ForGG again.
Well, in the end, Ben, on a map like this, when you are these kind of cross spawns, obviously they're not going to know that for a little while, but if you knew that your opponent was completely across spawns, would you like to open up the more defensive build that we're seeing from ForGG, or would you like to open up with the gas first?
I'd like CC. I mean, I was about to say CC first.
I was like, whoa.
Totally blind countering the whole idea, but
yeah.
No, I'm definitely more a defensive kind of guy.
Okay, okay.
Because the defensive build also, like, it's not just about defense initially for the first 5-7 minutes of the game. It's also about what units you make after. And after the defensive build, you almost always go into Hellions, that fast unit that can also be a scout for you, but can also get absolutely everywhere. They can defend, get to see where a drop's incoming. So, and this map, it's got 2 Xel'Naga towers, pretty well placed in the center of the map, in which you can always see where your opponent's coming from, where his army's traversing the map. So I like to go for the defensive build in this case, purely because I then transition into mech and Hellions.
Look at Funker with the flicks of the mouse and everything. It's beautiful to watch. I do like watching the preview screen, that's for sure.
What do we do before Funker? We had to deal with Adabisi, like, geez.
Well, and then before that, we had to deal with me, and you don't want to be dealing with that. So, yeah, before Funker, there was nothing. So we have MMA. Oh. He's going to grab himself that starport pretty quickly on that tech lab.
Right. One thing that MMA did here, and this is probably because the map is so huge, he actually made a tech lab on the barracks rather than make it on the factory. So it meant that he really cut his marine production. He's only had one marine out for this whole duration of time. So if ForGG did actually open up a Reaper to scout, which is, you know, if you play against Marine Lord, a teammate of ForGG, he's almost always going to kill you with a Reaper. So quite often you can't get away with this build that MMA's done. But I think he actually knows ForGG now. He's playing a pretty safe style. 2 games in a row now. Is he going to keep up with that? It was a gamble that MMA took, and it's a gamble that's paid off for now. But is this Banshee still going to achieve much? This is the first game of the series which is playing out like a normal ladder game. You have the guy being the aggressor with the Banshee, and you have the guy being the defender with the 15 gas.
Yep. And the more economic opening in the end, technically for ForGG, but how will MMA make up the room? He has to do a little bit of damage with this. He's already getting that Widow Mine. It can control some space for him if his opponent was to be sending a few Hellions over again. We could see that pick up one off. And he's always placing it well, as you've rightly pointed out in the past. You know, good spots at the top of ramps and covering almost the entirety of them.
Now, ForGG didn't actually scout with an SV at all, so playing totally in the dark here. So making that CC on the low ground, again, ballsy, absolutely ballsy by ForGG, but you have to cut corners at this stage of the game. So he sees this SV scouting him, only revealing 1 Hellion, but now he's seen the CC. If he only saw the 1 Hellion, MMA could have assumed, oh, he's gone gas first and he's gone for the Hellion Marine medevac drop. But we know that's not the case now, and MMA, they both know exactly what one another is doing. So ForGG, not going for that instant Banshee or whatever, even, oh, that Widow Mine. These Widow Mines, always getting kills. And now ForGG knows where his opponent is, he knows what build he's doing, but did he not see this? We have no turrets going up.
It's a bit strange because that Hellion technically did fly straight across it. He's going to wait. He had a scan saved up, so the Viking, if the scan is correct, he's going to escape. He's going to escape. Oh.
Okay, this is really kind of... Oh, is he running back?
Whoa! No!
Okay, cool.
You play with fire MMA. You crazy. You crazy.
You damn crazy MMA. And,
jeez.
You know, he's running away here, so in fact, he could have ran for that mineral line. Like,
get him.
But his opponent uses another scan on him, so that's 2 scans for a single Banshee that...
Quite costly.
Yeah, it killed how many workers? 1 worker, and then 6 Marines.
Another Banshee coming in.
Definitely worth it, and now 2nd Banshee coming in. And MMA, what's he doing behind this? MMA's doing this trademark play where he goes for an aggressive build. He gets to see exactly what his opponent's doing. He's like, how can I take advantage of you? And it's a leapfrog game for TvT with MMA. He'll say, you build 1 CC, I'll build 2 CC. You build one of these, I'll build an extra few. So really good by MMA, and he's totally reading this great. And he's got a few Banshees on the field that can deal damage, and his opponent's skimped on turrets.
And when it comes to leapfrogging, do you think that we will get the opportunity to see the similar build from Game 3 from MMA, or do you think that he'll try and go for something a little bit diverging from that path?
I can only imagine that he'll go for something similar, given that he's making a Raven now. But he might be making the Raven purely because he saw the tech lab on the starport with his Banshee that flew over, which, you know, in everybody's eyes, what do you worry about? Do you think about a Raven popping out of there? No, everybody thinks there is going to be a Banshee in my base very shortly. So making the Raven here, what's his anti-air at? Quite a few Marines, 9 Marines. He's got a Widow Mine still available here.
Positioning them as well, because he was rallying them to the back of the mineral line, so he should be able to be okay over there. And he still has another Banshee himself down to that bottom left-hand side, so that could pose a threat. It's already moving, already looking for a few kills here and there.
Engineering Bay going up for MMA too, so he is getting to a position where he can install turrets in his bases, which, you know, given that there are going to be a couple of Banshees on the map for ForGG, wow, that was tough to say, would definitely help him out quite a bit. MMA, his SCV count, slightly behind, but he's producing 3 at a time, whereas ForGG only producing 2. And unfortunately for ForGG, he did run into the base where there are Marines and a Raven waiting for him. And unfortunately for MMA, it does the same thing, just runs straight into a Raven. But luckily, you can outrun the Raven. You can't outrun the Viking, but Yeah, he will chase him to the end of the world by the looks of it.
Yeah, a bit of a missed opportunity there. Oh, actually decides to turn back, but a missed opportunity. He could have gone to the natural mineral line, decided not to. It was undefended. No missile turret, no units there to be able to deal with it. So it's a little bit of a shame there for MMA, but he'll have to deal with this.
Turret quite oddly placed there. Yeah. I don't want to call it bad because this is MMA and he deserves to be here, but what does that really achieve over there?
Yeah, it's quite a way out of the way. It does provide the vision, of course, but aside from that, not much in terms of positional awareness. You're going to have to be quite annoying.
Oh, wow. Got him. Got him.
Had to drop the scan, though. It was out of range of the missile turret by the looks of things.
Totally worth it, but you know what ForGG achieved there? He killed SCVs.
Yeah.
But if we look at the supply and the production tab, MMA supply blocked. Those 3 CCs can no longer produce. And his 51 SCV lead to 47. ForGG is going to continue catching up. And look at the army supply. We have a big lead for ForGG at this point in the game, which it's mainly Hellions. Sure,
I was going to say.
He's shown us how strong Hellions can be. Yeah. And yeah, ForGG is not a guy that you want to take lightly at this point in time.
Yeah, macro from ForGG, if he doesn't get slowed down too considerably in the early game in TvT, then he just flies away. And I think that this may end up playing out in a similar way to game number 3, where ForGG just runs you over. How is MMA going to stop this train, this absolute hurtling towards him train that is ForGG?
It's going to be incredibly tough. And ForGG, like, luckily MMA knows that he has time here, and he's producing a second factory, so he's really going to go from tank production here. A lot of tank production. No longer that second starport in play. He's kind of given up on that idea. And he's going to go for solid, old-school biomech here, which, how well does that work against Hellions? Well, I can talk about ForGG's TvT record. It is pretty damn good against this kind of thing. Like
that size said everything.
I mean, unfortunately for me, I've had the misfortune of getting matched up against ForGG quite a bit on ladder, because if you play 5 ladder games on the European ladder, 2 of them will probably be against ForGG. The other 3 will probably be against Happy. But yeah, like this amount of Hellions, it looks rather weak, right? But no, when they get on top of you, each one of those Hellions is shooting a minimum of 3 units at a time, which means that 8 damage, you times it by 324 for each one of those Hellions that costs 0 gas whatsoever. It's a great, great army composition. But here, MMA producing tanks. But one of the things about tanks is, once your opponent starts mixing in or changing those Hellions into Hellbats and drops them on you, they become pretty redundant. But one nice thing that MMA's done here is nice little wall-offs here. These Hellions still find a way of dealing damage, but he's really, really, really playing this safe and has a lot of faith in his late-game TvT ability by the looks of it, which rightly so, because MMA's a machine.
Well, this Banshee did a little work, but that's a lot of Hellions. You're going to have a difficult time shutting this down. He actually walks straight into it once again, pulls back though, realizing there's quite a bit of firepower behind MMA's army there. They are dead even in terms of supply at this point. This is a far cry away from game number 3 actually, as MMA has been able to keep up with the macro because he hasn't been diversifying his tech as much as he was previously.
I love this by ForGG, by the way. He's scanned the army, he's seen what it's consisting of, and he's not adding on more Vikings because his opponent doesn't have them. He doesn't have to win the air. He just has to keep his air available, because how is your opponent going to kill these Banshees?
Yeah.
I mean, you have to get Marines closer, but as they get close, they're going to get shot by siege tanks, which you have, and this is not a cool position for MMA to be in. If he wants to kill the Banshees, he has to scan, he has to run forward with Marines. He has to do something. Yeah,
he was doing a good job there of crossing the T in military terms. Nice Hunter Seekers, though, on some of these tanks. They do have to unsiege and separate, because if 2 of them were together, they would have died off from the splash.
Whoa.
Ooh, he's actually going to go for this. Siege is up once again here. The Hellions going to try and soak up a lot of the damage. Point defense drones have gone down to actually soak up a lot of the damage from the Marauders as well here for him. But at the same time, he runs away against all of these Hellions. All of them somehow get obliterated. So do the siege tanks. MMA is on the warpath looking for more.
He certainly is, but these Banshees, they're reigning supreme. And with only 4 Marines producing at a time, he's going to lose all his tanks here.
Needs to pull those away. He needs the anti-air.
There we are.
Marines. Can he get any of these Banshees? Meanwhile, the Marauders are looking to chase everything down, but, I mean, what can they really do? He's splitting up his army, trying to kill the Banshees off.
Is there a drop in the main base of ForGG while all this is happening? There's a Banshee going ham.
11 kills. If he can get even more workers, that would be fantastic for him. He realizes it and starts focusing down on the SCVs once again.
That is so patient by MMA. That Banshee, he left it at the bottom left of the map for so long and found a spot to deal damage in. 9 SCVs down like that. So MMA holds off the push, gets up a 4th base.
Yeah.
He's in good shape.
His worker count is fantastic. His army is similar here to ForGG's, but also, like, because he has the economy behind this, he should be looking pretty good. I mean, ForGG's pushes with those Hellions and Siege Tanks normally just kill you outright, but MMA here, if he is able to defeat ForGG in this best of 5, and he's looking like he can, I am absolutely bewildered. This is amazing.
I mean, nobody can count out MMA, you know? He is...
Clearly.
He is a true champion, he's a winner, and he knows how to win. And here, he's really brought his A-game. Once you lose to a player once, or a strategy once, in your head as a pro gamer, you never want to lose to that again. And MMA has totally shown us that he knows how to handle this mechanic kind of play, because at DreamHack Stockholm, he looked totally outclassed by ForGG.
He got destroyed.
This is a different player. This is a different MMA. This is an MMA that wants to win WCS because he hasn't really done that in a while.
Hellions get on top of some of the reinforcements, though. ForGG is looking for answers to the problem he's being given, and he finds a little answer as he tries to run past, tries to get some damage done, can get to the economy lines. These are Blue Flame Hellions. They will do a lot.
Gosh, yeah, they can do a lot. And these Marauders, they do start shooting at them, but these Hellions are going to deal damage. But at this point in time, honestly, 70 SCVs, that might be a little bit too many considering he's on 4 orbitals or so right now. So I think he's doing MMA a favor here.
Yeah, maybe so. Increasing the opportunity to make that army a whole lot bigger. He's going for the drops as well, though, is MMA. He's now looking to exploit the immobility. Despite a lot of ForGG's army being Hellions, it is still more immobile than the fact that these medevacs can just keep boosting around, kind of find some damage here in the main base. And it will eventually get cleaned up, but whilst this is going on, MMA is moving in the middle.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. So now he's getting his tanks in a position to deny mining at this 4th by ForGG and even kill it. And one of the things that MMA added that is so pivotal here, that Thor. That Banshee can no longer come in and be like, and reign supreme and totally go uncontested in the air. No, they have to deal with a Thor now. That Thor outranges them, it can stay safe, and he's now got a very decent number of tanks, and ForGG's moving in. Yeah,
ForGG looking to once again try and cross the T, basically. He's engaging in a position where not all the siege tanks can really fire down. ForGG's army is comprised of a lot of siege tanks itself, so it's going to be a very slow back and forth push.
Whoa,
but the Banshees, he didn't, what? No,
gosh.
That's not supposed to happen.
That is not supposed to happen, Claris, and now quite a few tanks have died, and MMA's lost this front hold, but the Marines getting a few shots in there, but look at this. These Banshees, they are not just keeping ForGG in this game, they're actually somewhat giving him a lead here.
ForGG found some room. He exploits it as quickly as he possibly can as these Vikings still moving forwards. He has to be so careful. The Marines will shred up the army if he goes out of the range of his siege tanks.
Oh man, this is very intense here. One thing that I love for MMA is his upgrades. So he's actually going to soon have his mech upgrades equal with ForGG. ForGG's getting his +1 armor here, so he gets +2 attack, then +1 armor. ForGG sending Hellions at the base again here.
Whew. At least he sees it. He's moving with his army quite aggressively, but these Hellions looking for more SCV blood or oil, depending on how you look at them. I don't know what they really are, but he'll find a way around. He'll kill a few of them off. But again, behind this, MMA still added another base over on the left-hand side, so he will have 5 bases up and running pretty soon.
I really like this by ForGG, splitting up all his Hellions.
Yeah.
These Hellions, they're actually walking past units, getting blocked here.
King Marauder.
Luckily.
Oh, good job, Marauder. Well done. You're a hero.
Now we're getting into a position where it's, how do I, as MMA, break ForGG? And ForGG doesn't have too many turrets, I believe. No, not in his main. Does he have any at his natural? Well, there's one defending his natural mineral line, but that was for Banshees earlier. So ForGG is really going to try and test ForGG's multitasking.
This has got to be the way, because the front was a blockade. It was impenetrable. He's actually moving forwards with a few of these siege tanks. Has a few sieged up at the back, though, looking to break through, but he's taking damage to his economy lines, and at the back in his main base, he might take a lot of damage as well, but he's losing quite a chunk of his army in the middle. Losing that. All right.
Oh, lots of damage being done in the main as well. And he's going for the orbital straight away there in the main.
Wow, okay, getting a little bit of a trade there.
He's
going to get an orbital. Wow.
That's a really big deal. And going for this starport as well. Bam, no more Banshees produced, and those have been causing you a lot of problems. Doesn't quite get it, but damage is definitely being done. And
it is.
Even though that orbital may not seem like a huge deal because the minerals have been mined out, it is not minerals that ForGG really needs right now. His gas is so low.
Overall, though, you've got to remember as well, MMA threw away a bit of his army to do all of this. So behind all of that, he kind of needs to buy a little bit of time. But ForGG isn't really moving aggressively in the middle of the map. He's not looking for some kind of killing blow or anything.
I mean, how can he move out across the map? His base is he still has an army in his base. And if he moves out too hard against a big flank of bio, he doesn't really know that MMA supply is so low. And MMA did take a lot of economic damage, which he's actually paying the price for now, because we have 0 battle units in production, and he is 40 supply behind ForGG right now.
Yeah, he's having a bit of a hard time here. This army that ForGG has created is powerful, very, very powerful. But a lot of starports are on the way. MMA realizes, I guess, with his economy, that if he can get a few of these air units out and try and rival his opponent's numbers, he should be okay. Oh, but has to get out of there. Does from the way, gets away from those Vikings. Also has to delay this push because he knows that's a lot of siege tanks.
It's all about delaying this push now. It's all about delaying it. And I mean, once his base is under fire, which MMA cannot prevent from happening, he just moves those SCVs over to his left base. And yeah, exactly, that's what he's doing.
Perfect.
Don't lose SCVs. You've got 4 tanks here. That Banshee, what an annoying Banshee. Like, he's going to have to deal with that pretty soon. Oh, just scans as it uncloaks and runs out of energy. But MMA here, he's just buying time. And remember, all that damage, that infrastructure damage that MMA did to his opponent, ForGG is still kind of suffering. And this army that he has, he isn't going to be able to rebuild that anytime soon.
Well, Medevac on this right-hand side looks to poke and prod and maybe try and draw his opponent away from reinforcing as quickly as he would like, which isn't doing too terribly. If he can get a siege tank or two, that'd be a great pickup for a few Marauders, but at the same time, he was pushed away from his 4th mining base. So this is very, very down to the wire, but look how much ForGG has. He's maxed out right now.
Check out this transition by MMA, though. So his left base is far too oversaturated, but he's expanding down to the south left too. He's also going for air. 4 Vikings at a time. Banshees. How many Thors does ForGG have? 0 Thors in his composition, but 33 tanks, Pilaris.
33 tanks? Oh my god.
That is 99 supply worth of tanks. That is, whoa, that is insane. And you know, once he sees these Banshees, MMA's still capable of producing now. He still has supply to spend. Whereas ForGG, what happens when he sees those Banshees? Where are they actually getting stocked up on the map? Okay, right outside his 3rd/4th. So once the air army pops out, what does ForGG do?
He's cloaked up and he's moving forwards already with some of these Banshees, and he's going to start picking away at these siege tanks. This becomes a very, very annoying problem here for ForGG, who's trying to make missile turrets, just anything to be able to kind of shut this position down.
And the turrets are very smart, but ForGG, he knows exactly what he needs to do. He knows his opponent's suffering here, moves well into that planetary fortress over there.
Yeah, he knows that is the really the one remaining base that needs to be mining from. Lifts a CC, tries to get that out of there. Siege tanks are now working away at that planetary fortress as well.
Look at that air armada coming over.
Here it comes. He needs to really save these siege tanks, but he doesn't have the Viking numbers.
He saved the base as well.
Oh wow, he saves the base. He saves that. He pushes the Vikings back, and now there's nothing to answer the Banshees that are going to work on these siege tanks. MMA has evened up the worker supply, and 33 siege tanks can't do anything against this.
No, 33 siege tanks cannot do anything. The Hellion count's down to 5. 31 tanks, 2 Vikings, a single Banshee. And look, ForGG's trying to run away, trying to set up turrets while on the run. But MMA is chasing him down. He's expanding while he's doing this. And ForGG, he's still on those 4 bases he's had the whole time.
Look at it. I can't believe it. MMA here, moving across with this army. And he's still got a lot to conquer, don't get me wrong, but ForGG is reeling. He is reeling behind all of this. He doesn't really have that much of an economy. God. The Banshees are going to town. The Vikings are supporting them. MMA is doing this as ForGG is completely on the retreat.
Completely on the retreat, and his infrastructure, you know, he's losing CCs left, right, and center here. He lost the one in the main, just lost one then floating. Look, these tanks. Yes, okay, Thor's out in the field. ForGG can breathe a sigh of relief, but no, he cannot, because there are tanks sieging his 4th base. His only mining base, really, his natural, has 4 very unhealthy mineral patches. His 3rd also mined out. His main, he doesn't have one. MMA, he's choking out ForGG here. The income, 180 minerals per minute compared to the almost 2,000 of MMA. MMA is cracking him.
He is cracking the armor of ForGG. ForGG almost never loses in high-octane situations in Terran versus Terran, but MMA is absolutely running him ragged, and bringing from the drops as well on the right-hand side, setting up this barrier. Then ForGG can't do anything. He can't breathe anymore.
ForGG does not have turrets. Yes, he has an army waiting there for him, which is enough of an army to deal with this. Great. But, you know, what does that matter? You're stopping your main from being dropped? Big deal. You can't mine anything. You need to sort out what's happening over there. So MMA's just spreading him thin.
ForGG needs to break out of this. He has to break free somehow, some way. Otherwise, he is going to be starved out in this game. This one potential final game here for ForGG if he doesn't keep himself alive. One Banshee moves forwards, gets picked off by the Thors. They are the saving grace right now of ForGG, keeping him down. They are the linchpin of this defense.
ForGG's finally getting to a position where he can start mining from this base again, but you know, his opponent is going for a fusion core, and yet again, MMA, as rich as he is, in fact, he's not that rich, but he's going to be very, very soon throwing down CCs, and he's got two armories rolling. He's catching up and overtaking his opponent in upgrades here, so man, fantastic play by MMA. And look, he's so comfortable, he can expand wherever he wants, he can do whatever he wants. He's got this huge army that cannot be broken.
Yeah.
And ForGG, what's his army composition? 13 tanks from that once mighty 33, 5 Thors, 10 Hellions.
The push back and forth through this game has just been fantastic. And MMA in this position, how do you break him as ForGG? You don't have the income to break it. You don't have the army to break it. How are you gonna get out of this? There's nothing more other than checkmates very, very soon. It's check.
Very soon, and here we have he's getting ready to kind of drop that third as he pushes through the front again, but you know, MMA's doing this very carefully. He's not saying, I'm just going to bust you and throw everything at you.
Yeah.
He knows what he needs to do, which is he needs to deny mining at that.
Drops on top of the siege tanks as well, getting a few of those out, pushes in. MMA looking to break the back of ForGG, takes down the siege tanks, runs straight on top of those Thors as well. He is looking to pin down ForGG, move on to the round of 4. What a way to finish off this series as MMA looks phenomenal in the very end. GG! MMA conquers his demon in TvT and is able to take the series 3-1.
Absolutely solid play by MMA, and you know, he looked very comfortable in that series. He dropped one map, but it was a slight blunder moving out, but overall, absolutely fantastic play by the Ace of Terran, and ForGG in his best matchup by far. Oh, maybe it was a bit of a predictability working against him, you know? Like, even though he is the best at what he does, even though you're the best, if somebody knows exactly what you're going to do and pinpoints you on that and totally works around you, wow, great play by MMA.
What a brilliant, brilliant series. One of my favorite series to cast for a long, long time. That was fantastic. He moves on to the round of 4. MMA has got to be absolutely ecstatic with that result. But sadly for ForGG, his run here at the round of 8 comes to an end.
It certainly does, and I mean, this looked like a tournament that ForGG could possibly take with the amount of Terrans that were here, and MMA put a violent stop to that and, you know, ended his BlizzCon chances too, all in one. So, great play by MMA. Good play by ForGG as well. He did things as he should. A few little mistakes here and there, but ultimately you just have to congratulate MMA on his preparation for the series. It showed through and through.
Truly, truly it did. And without further ado, you don't want to hear any more from us. Let's hear from the winner. Moving on to the round of 4, it's MMA.
Thank you, James. MMA, congratulations. Absolutely terrific win. Let's start by talking about the last map first, because just absolute brilliant. You were winning, you were losing, you were winning, you were losing. I mean, talk me through the last map from your point of view.
마지막 게임이 엄청 좀 보기 대단한 게임이었었는데 이겼다가 졌다가 한 거를 보면서 이제 형은 어땠었는지?
마지막 게임 하는 저도 좀 많이 줄다리기라고 생각을 하고 계속 제가 유리하다가 상대가 유리하다가 조금만 실수를 하면 상대가 또 따라오고 그런 식으로 되더라고요. 그래서 후반을 어떻게 해야 되지? 탱크는 왜 이렇게 많지? 계속 생각했거든요. 그러다가 이거는 포지 선수가 탱크는 많지만 탱크에 다 투자했으니까 본진에 터렛이 없겠다 생각을 하고 터렛을 하면서 좀 제 페이스로 끌려온 것 같아요.
So it was a really close game and hard game. Like it was pulling a string, and the opponent would pull back, and then I would pull harder, and he would pull harder, and it was just a crazy game. And whenever I saw his army, he had so many tanks, and I was scared that he would overrun me. But then I thought again, and because he has so many tanks, I thought he wouldn't have so many turrets in his base. So I kind of abused that to drop and like go to an air army, to win.
It was a fantastic game to watch. Your first game was a little bit unorthodox, a little bit of cheese maybe in there, and then the second game, same kind of thing, a little bit different. What were you've obviously prepared really well for ForGG. You know how good he is at TvT, but tell us how you prepared for it.
첫 번째 게임에서는 또 이제 좀 치즈러시 같은 거를 보여주고 전체적으로 느낌이 엄청 준비를 완벽하게 하고 온 것 같은데 어떻게 준비를 했는지 한번 설명해 주세요.
일단 포지지 선수가 드림맥 스톡홀름에서 저를 이겼기 때문에 무난히 할 거라고 저는 생각을 했어요. 그래서 제 생각대로 무난히 하신 것 같고 그리고 1, 2세트도 제가 원래는 그런 빌드를 준비를 안 했어요. 근데 딱 게임 들어가자마자 일꾼 나누는 순간 통할 것 같은데 하는 생각이 들더라고요. 그래서 제가 좀 감으로 가끔씩 하는 편인데 그게 좀 잘 통했던 것 같아요.
So after losing to ForGG in DreamHack Stockholm, I thought this could be kind of an advantage because he would play his normal thing and don't prepare anything special. So actually he did that today. And so in the first game I actually didn't prepare a cheese, but when I sent my CVs to the mineral line, I kind of had that thought that this could work. Like I had this moment, and then I tried it, and it actually worked pretty well.
That was on the fly build.
Yeah, that was on the fly.
All right, okay. I don't know whether you're aware of this, but you beating ForGG and Bunny not winning means you've just done Innovation a favour, your old teammate, because he now qualifies for BlizzCon. Were you aware of that?
형이 여기 포지지 선수를 이기고 또 바니 선수가 떨어진 것 때문에 이노베이션 선수가 이제 완전 확정이 됐다고. 그래서 그걸 알고 있었는지 하고 전 팀 멤버를 이렇게 좀 구해준 셈인데 그 기분이 어떤지요?
모르고 있었고요. 뭐 구해주든 말든 그놈은 신경도 안 쓰더라고요. 제가 뭘 구해주든 말든 자기 할 것만 하니까 뭐 제가 구해준지도 모를 거예요.
I have a rough idea of what he just said as well.
I actually didn't know that, and I think he doesn't really care. Like, he wouldn't thank me for beating ForGG or something like that. I think he just doesn't care.
All right, okay. Final thoughts. You've got to come back tomorrow now and play in the semi-final against San. You watched him play against Bunny, I'm sure, earlier on. What are you thinking about that game?
이제 내일은 산 선수를 상대로 게임을 해야 되는데 아까 바니 선수랑 하는 거를 아마 지켜봤을 텐데 어떻게 생각하는지 다음 상대로.
저는 산 선수가 좀 어느 정도 쉽게 이길 줄 알았는데 보니 선수가 굉장히 잘하더라고요. 그리고 또 3대 2까지 가는 세트가 나왔으니까 볼 게임이 좀 많을 것 같아요. 그래서 호텔에 돌아가서 볼 거예요. 네, 이제 본다고 하면 이제 다른 걸 쓰겠죠.
So actually I thought Sun would win like 3-0 against Bunny, but Bunny fought real well, and it was a 3-2 score. So I have a lot of games to watch actually and learn from. But as I say this, probably Sun will see this interview and prepare something else, so I don't know.
All right, well, thank you very much, MMA. Congratulations on a great win. MMA does more than one favour. ForGG is not able to go to BlizzCon. He's not able to advance through to the semi-finals here in WCS Europe. And not only that, we now know 15 of our players that have qualified for BlizzCon. Congratulations to the Codes winner, Innovation, who's been done a favour by his old teammate, MMA, today. He's also qualified for BlizzCon. Just one place left now, and Jaedong is currently in it. That's it from the quarterfinals today at WCS Europe. But let's get the thoughts and collective thoughts from Sean and the boys at the desk.
Thank you very much, Red Iron. Here I am with the Muslim and Todd. What an epic day of StarCraft here. We've had some very one-sided games, we've had some very close games, and we've had some very thrilling games.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, big upsets, or when you say big, like you thought MC was going to win the entire thing. Got
No, I got shut down,
3-0.
didn't it?
Got
Well done.
Absolutely 3-0 by Yoda. San against Bunny was insane. Like, that was always going to be close, I think. Golden happy. 3-1 for Golden. I think that was kind of predicted, but it could also went either way. And this one, MMA kind of trashing ForGG in that series. Absolutely phenomenal.
We got all 3 races featured in the semifinals, which wasn't always going to be necessarily the case. If you look at the last game of Bunny versus San.
5 Terrans down to 2. Balanced?
Yeah. You tell me.
I think so. I think so. I think it's all really balanced, man.
All right, well, let's go ahead and take a look at the bracket just to confirm what we already know from today, as we have had some awesome games. Yoda and Golden, of course, will be our first semi-final from tomorrow after some excellent performances from those 2 players. So be good to see those 2 on form against each other tomorrow. And, of course, San versus MMA. Boys, what was some of the things that really stood out for you today? Was it the simple 3-0s? What was it?
MC's performance definitely a little bit underwhelming, and just Bunny's good series against San. You know, really taking the distance. 5 games in that last game. I do think he had a chance, but somehow, you know, let it slip away. Maybe cracked under the pressure. It really felt like he lost patience. Yeah. So I think that series was definitely my favorite of the day.
I think one of my favorite games of the day was Bunny against San on Catalina. He like truly showcased why Protosses have to open up Colossi, because if you don't, Widowmine's absolutely everywhere. He was dropping in the third base, the main base, attacking the front, like absolutely phenomenal play by Bunny. But I have to give it to MMA. Like, he brought out a new kind of TvT to deal with ForGG. I really, really enjoyed that.
So predictions-wise, who did you pick to win the whole thing from the start? Did you pick someone? Because I think you said ForGG, right?
I did say ForGG.
Who did you say?
I didn't pick anyone, but if
you can join in now, though.
If I had been asked, I would have said a Terran. Just as simple as that. I guess Yoda now.
Yeah?
I mean, after today and just seeing how these opponents like studied and got ready, I'm going to have to give it to MMA.
Ooh. Change of heart there.
So what about you?
Well, my MC's gone already.
So who do you pick now? Golden?
MMA. That boy over there, he's going to win.
You always go for the Terrans, man.
I do. It's the easier one to do, isn't it?
You know, the race actually to BlizzCon has been so interesting this year. Like, every tournament, things change. And now with ForGG being eliminated, Innovation is sure to make it through. For Innovation not to make it, I mean, it was a pretty long shot, but basically either Bunny or ForGG had to win here, plus either Scarlet or Hero or Pig Baby in WCS America. So now Innovation's safe, but Jaedong is going to be in a little bit of danger. From WCS America, if either of those 3 players win, I think they're going to overtake him.
Yeah, that's definitely something for next weekend to follow. But thank you very much for joining us here on the desk again. I'll see you both tomorrow. So for more awesome commentary, can't wait to catch up with you guys again. But for now, Red Eye is closing up the show in the crowd. So take it away.
Thank you very much to all of our commentary team today. They've done a fantastic job. I bet the Twitch chat right now is going absolutely kappa mad. Got a sneaky feeling that it might be. We've had a fantastic day of StarCraft 2 action, and once again, 4 fantastic quarterfinals and 4 players all making their way through to the semi-finals, which will take place tomorrow evening here in Cologne. We'll also crown our final Season 3 champion of the 2014 year. It has been a terrific day. We hope you've enjoyed everything you've seen from StarCraft 2. Kappa away, Twitch chat. We'll see you tomorrow.